यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातिरावनचारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातिरावनचारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम श्री नाम संकीर्तन की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। we saw till the first chapter yesterday. So we will continue from the second chapter of the 10th canto. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guraho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in the second chapter it starts with the Kamsa actually making his like team of asuras like bigger and bigger. He's getting into so many more what do they call allies with many other demons. So under the protection of Mahadaraj Jarasandha, the powerful Kamsa began prosecuting the kings of Yadu dynasty. In this he had the cooperation of demons like Pralamba, Baka, Chanur, Trinavrata, Agasur, Mushtika, Arishta, Dvivida, Putana, Keshi, Denuka, Banasur, Narakasur and many other demoniac kings on the surface of the earth. So he is like very very powerful Asurik, this one, and he was quite a powerful person, and he had brought so many of these demons under his subjugation, and then they were helping him in various ways, and some of them which he could not defeat, so he made friendship with them. Okay, and then prosecuted by demoniac kings, the Yadavas left their kingdom and entered various others like those of Kuru, Panchala, Kekayas, Shalvas, Vidarbhas, Nishadas, Videhas and Koshalas. And some of their relatives, however, began to follow Kamsa's principles and act in his service. After Kamsa, the son of Ugrasen, killed 6 sons of Devaki, a plenary portion of Krishna entered the womb as her 7th child, arousing her pleasure and lamentation. The plenary portion is celebrated by the great sages as Ananta, who belong to Krishna's second quadruple expansion. So here we see that that some of the relatives, they did not go to different places, and in the purport Srila Prabhupada actually explains about Akrura. They remained with Kamsa, to follow his orders and to satisfy him, but then their whole goal was that they knew that Krishna would appear, and they were awaiting the appearance of Krishna, and for that reason they actually stayed back with Kamsa. So so that is there. And to protect the Yadus, his personal devotees, from Kamsa's attack, the personality of Godhead, Vishwatma, the super soul of everyone, ordered Yoga Maya as follows. So those things we had already discussed during the Balram Purnima class, that how the Yoga Maya is ordered to actually transfer the child which is come in, that is the Anantadev or Sankarshana, and the names for that child is given as Baladev, Balabhadra and Sankarshana, and it is also foretold that Krishna will appear very soon and then Yogamaya should make arrangements for that as well. And then Krishna also mentions that how the Yogamaya herself will be worshipped in different names as Durga, Bhadrakali, Vijaya, Vaishnavi, Kumuda, Chandika, Krishna, Madhavi, Kanyaka, Maya, Narayani, Ishani, Sharada, and Ambika. So with all this ones, so the transfer of Baladev has happened, and then and then the appearance, the necessary prerequisites are done for the appearance of the Supreme Lord. So then in the shloka number 16, it starts about the description of appearance of the Supreme Lord. So it mentions, thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the super soul of all living entities and who vanquishes all the fear of his devotees, entered the mind of Vasudeva in full opulence. So it's very nice point. So he vanquishes the fear of his devotees. And just before this, we had read the shloka, which is foretelling, or which is just describing the appearance of Anantadev. So there, it is mentioned that Devaki was both, like it was when plenary portion of Krishna entered the womb as the seventh child, arousing her pleasure and lamentation. So this pleasure and lamentation, till now only lamentation was there, till now only difficulties were there, and it is quite understandable. So Kamsa is actually prosecuting, and he is a very great demon, and in that face of it, it's quite difficult to sustain that pressure. So lamentation was there, but then when the Lord appears, so even overpowering such an intense and acute lamentation or acute fear, so a kind of pleasure is actually arising in the heart. So this is an amazing thing. So whenever we are able to have nice sadhana and we are nicely in Krishna consciousness, so there will be a deep sense of happiness and pleasure, which will come in the heart. And here also we see that the super soul of all the living entities, who vanquishes all fear of his devotees, entered the mind of Vasudeva in all opulences. So let's study the purport a little bit. The word Vishwatma refers to one who is situated in everyone's heart. Ishvara sarva bhutanam hridadesha arjun tishtati. So Vishwatma means the soul of the universe, and also the super soul of all the living entities. So there are multiple meanings that can be brought out. So here specifically Srila Prabhupada highlights that it is the super soul that is mentioned. Another meaning of Vishwatma is the only lovable object of everyone. So everybody likes themselves. So, and then the real self of every living entity is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So because of forgetfulness of this object, people are suffering in this material world. But if one fortunately receives his old consciousness of loving Krishna and connects with Vishwatma, one becomes perfect. The Lord is described in the third canto as follows: Paravaresho Mahat Amsha Yukto Hi Ajo Api Jato Bhagavan. Although unborn, the Lord, the master of everything, appears like a born child by entering the mind of a devotee. The Lord is already within the mind, and consequently it is not astonishing for him to appear as if born from the devotee's body. The word Avishesha signifies that the Lord appeared within the mind of Vasudeva. There was no need for discharge of semen. That is the opinion of Sripad Sridhar Swami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In the Vaishnava Toshni, Srila Sanatana Goswami says that the consciousness was awakened within the mind of Vasudeva. Srila Veeraraghava Acharya also says that Vasudeva was one of the demigods, and that within his mind the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as an awakening of consciousness. So here we see, whenever this topic comes, a general doubt that comes is, so Lord appeared, so without discharge of no semen. So how to be understood, or is it the case always? So then one senior devotee was mentioning that it is not the case always, but then sometimes he can come from the nostril, sometimes he can appear in the mind, and sometimes he can come from the pillar. So he's a very amazing hero. His every new release is full of suspense and dynamism. So he can come through any way, right? So here he has chosen to come in this particular way. And this also goes to say, In other places, it is very nicely explained that the deity of the Lord, so it doesn't need to be like a 3D form. It doesn't need to be just like a 2D form also. It can also be a mental form. So in the early morning puja, like we don't do that here, like in the established temples, like we see that there is Shodasha Upachar that is offered to the deities, and then also there is a Manasa Puja that is also offered. So there the mantras, like the deity is imagined in the mind, and then with mantras, all the articles are offered to the Lord first. So that is, so in that way we see that, so it is not that only if we have deity, we'll be able to render some nice service to the Lord. So of course it expands the opportunity to render service. So that's definitely there. But then it is not limited. So we are not limited to it, and it is not, we are deprived of anything. No, even a nice devotee who's of good standing, so if he can meditate on the form of the Lord, and then he starts offering like different articles of worship to the Lord, so that is also considered to be deity worship. So that's also very powerful. And here we see that the Supreme Lord, he appeared in the form of consciousness, in the form of in the mental form, in the mind of Vasudeva, right? So it's a very instructive thing. So we should not think that if we are worshipping photographs, oh, this is like, we will not get so much mercy. If we have deities, then we'll have so much mercy. No, it's not like that. So the Lord can reciprocate. It is the externals, like, doesn't matter so much. What matters is the attitude of service, and then willingness of engaging in the service of the Lord. And that has to please the Supreme Lord. So then we will be able to have Krishna appearing in our heart. Okay. While carrying the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of his heart, Vasudeva bore the Lord's transcendently illuminating effulgence, and thus he became as bright as the sun. He was therefore very difficult to see or approach through sensory perception. Indeed, he was unapproachable and unperceivable, even for such formidable men as Kamsa, and not only for Kamsa but for all living entities. So here we see that the Lord's effect. So living entity may be very insignificant, but a servant of the Lord who is very much in connection with the Lord. So sometimes Srila Prabhupada mentions he is as powerful as the Lord. How is this possible? So like generally we explain this example. If a small kid is there and if somebody is creating some problem, and if the father is there standing next to him, so the kid is as powerful as the father. Because anything happens to the kid, the father will come into the picture. So in the same way, like here we see that Vasudeva was bearing the Lord's transcendental form, and he was also illuminated and effulgent, and he is like very very unapproachable and unperceivable, and it's quite difficult to do anything to him. So even as a person like Kamsa or any living entity, it's very very powerful. And then thereafter, accompanied by plenary expansion, the fully potent Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all auspicious for the entire universe, was transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki. Devaki, having thus been initiated by Vasudeva, became beautiful by carrying Lord Krishna, the original consciousness for everyone, the cause of all causes within the core of her heart, just as the east becomes beautiful by carrying the rising moon. Okay? So this we can see that the eastern side, it has become beautiful by carrying the rising moon. So the beauty that has been created, the credit goes to the moon. So but then the eastern direction also becomes beautiful, like that. So when a devotee is able to have a nice Krishna consciousness, so it is the Krishna who is actually beautiful, who is making everything beautiful. In this connection, some time back I had heard some kind of a small story, so like of a donkey. A washerman had a donkey, and then he was not washerman, like a kind of a transporter. So he was transporting a deity, from one village to another. And wherever this donkey was going, so people, out of respect for the deity, so they offered obeisances. And then this donkey was feeling like, no, now at least people have understood my value. And also after that, when the deity was delivered, and then when he was coming back, nobody was offering obeisances to him. And then to attract the attention of people, that he started braying, and people started throwing stones at him. So here we see that a preacher is respected because of the Krishna consciousness that he is carrying, and is actually the Krishna who's respected, and not the living entity. Living entity is the insignificant living entity, especially for ourselves. We should feel like that. So people outside, they may respect us because we are Krishna conscious. So actually the respect goes to Krishna, and not to, we should not take it to ourselves. So then we'll also become like the donkey. So we are carrying the deity, we are carrying the Krishna consciousness, and that is what is making us special. And the credit goes to Krishna. And Devaki then kept within herself the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the foundation of the entire cosmos. But because she was under arrest in the house of Kamsa, she was like the flames of a fire covered by the walls of a pot, or like a person who has knowledge but cannot distribute it to the world for the benefit of human society. Right? This is... in many places such description is mentioned. So I think in the Kardama Muni's section also this particular description comes, how he was, because of tapasya, he was not keeping his body very clean. He was like with matted locks and dirty body and things like that, because for a long time he was doing tapasya. But then the effulgence, or the kind of the tejas that is there in his body, that was overpowering the external this one. So something like that here also we see that. So this tejas actually comes from awakening of knowledge, and the awakening of knowledge essentially means Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan. So the consciousness, the awakening to the consciousness, awakening to Krishna consciousness to some degree, right? So here Devaki has Krishna consciousness of highest degree. So it is mentioned that Krishna, accompanied with all his plenary expansions, he actually entered the personality of Devaki, right? And then because the Supreme Personality of Godhead was within her womb, Devaki illuminated the entire atmosphere in the place where she was confined. Seeing her jubilant, pure and smiling, Kamsa thought, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who is now within her, will kill me. Devaki has never before looked so brilliant and jubilant. Right? So, Kamsa is also able to understand that this is the time, it has come. So here there is a nice point that is mentioned. One politician has remarked that Krishna consciousness movement is spreading like an epidemic, and that if not checked immediately, within 10 years it may capture the governmental power. There is of course such potency in Krishna consciousness movement. As stated by authorities, Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar, in this age Krishna has appeared in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The Krishna consciousness movement is spreading like wildfire all over the world, and it will go on doing so. Men who are like Kamsa are very much afraid of the movement's progress and acceptance by the younger generation. But as Krishna could not be killed by Kamsa, this movement cannot be checked by men of Kamsa's class. The movement will go on increasing more and more, provided the leaders of the movement remain firmly Krishna conscious by following the regulative principles and the primary activities of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra regularly. Right? So here we see that invoking the presence of Krishna. So Krishna consciousness movement is nothing but, like if we see, different people will see in different ways. So people who are economically oriented, so they will see like how many assets this organization is having, how many people they have and things like that. So but then essentially Krishna consciousness movement is supposed to have Krishna in the center. And how is it possible? So Prabhupada is mentioning Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. So it is by the, in the form of the holy name, the Lord has actually descended. And sincerely, when the devotees chant the names of Krishna, so then they will be able to manifest the presence of Krishna, and the Krishna consciousness movement will have its effect. Otherwise, if the members of the movement are not very Krishna conscious, so then the whole effect of the Krishna consciousness movement is diluted, right? So this is the most important preaching activity that we need to do. What is the most important preaching activity? To chant nicely. Right? So if we don't chant nicely, then there is no point in preaching. So it's like outside people are selling avidya, so we will also sell avidya. So the vidya is the Krishna consciousness that we possess. Now if we possess the product, then we can distribute. So if we possess three modes of nature, we will distribute three modes of nature only. So we will not distribute the Krishna. So for that, it is the most important preaching activity is to have a very nice sadhana, and specifically to have very nice chanting, right? And Kamsa thought, what is my duty now? The Supreme Lord, who knows his purpose, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam, will not give up his prowess. Devaki is a woman, she is my sister, and moreover she is now pregnant. If I kill her, my reputation, opulence and duration of life will certainly be vanquished. And so now he is thinking of all these things. Before he was not having these considerations, and now he is having these considerations. And this is the effect of Krishna consciousness. So if we come in contact with somebody who is Krishna conscious, so then our consciousness also will be changed. Just like when Mrigari, he was approached by Narada. So he wanted to chastise Narada, but then because Mrigari was trying to hunt the animals, and by the arrival of Narada, these animals became alert, and then they got dispersed. And Mrigari was very angry at this, and he wanted to chastise, but then because of the presence of a saintly person, so he could not able to utter the bad words. So that's the power of the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So either personally or in the through the carrier, through his devotees, right? So even then there are people Paundraka and other people who were chastising Krishna when Krishna was personally present also. So that's the expertise of the demons. So, but then this is also an effect that is there. So when the Lord, by the Lord's influence, people's mind can actually become purified. So by the presence of the Lord. So that's how when we, without offenses, when we chant the names of the Lord, it invokes the presence of the Lord. So when the Lord's presence is invoked, then we will also be able to feel the tranquility, or purity in the heart. So a person who is very cruel is regarded as dead, even while living. For while he is living or after his death, everyone condemns him. And after the death of a person in the bodily concept of life, he is undoubtedly transferred to the hell known as Andatama. So it is mentioned that if somebody dies with a bodily consciousness, that's considered to be very, very abominable. So like somebody who has taken birth in the human form of life, at least he should make some endeavor to understand the difference between body and soul. At least that much he should come up to. So that's the purpose of human form of life. So otherwise he is considered to be very abominable. The death is not considered very good. Shukadeva Goswami said, deliberating in this way, Kamsa, although determined to continue in enmity towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, refrained from vicious killing of his sister. He decided to wait until the Lord was born and then do what was needed. While sitting on his throne or in his sitting room, while lying on his bed, or indeed while situated anywhere, and while eating, sleeping, walking, Kamsa saw only his enemy, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Rishikesha. Such a nice thing. In other words, by thinking of his all-pervading enemy, Kamsa became unfavorably Krishna conscious. So this is this one, Anukulyana Krishna Anushilanam. So Prabhupada explains that this one in the purport. So this is, but in one sense, no, this is a great achievement actually. Now to have Krishna consciousness all the time, no, it's a very, very big achievement. So it is not an ordinary thing, no. So in fact, in the seventh canto of Bhagavatam, Narad Muni glorifies that no, we devotees cannot become Krishna conscious as much as the demons. They can be Krishna conscious. So they are so much more Krishna conscious. Like he's, as a devotee, like what is that? He's appreciating the effort. He's appreciating the result. So this one of we are trying to be Krishna conscious, but we are not so intensely Krishna conscious as much as these demons are. So like an evidence of that is here. So like it is very important. So of course favorably we should be Krishna conscious. So but then the effect is like whatever he is doing, he is just simply able to think of Krishna and nothing else. It's really amazing thing, no? So all the sadhakas will be able to appreciate this particular aspect. Okay, in the purport, it's mentioned Srila Rupa Goswami has described the finest pattern of devotional service as Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam, or cultivating Krishna consciousness favorably. Kamsa, of course, was also Krishna conscious, but because he regarded Krishna as his enemy, even though he was fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, his Krishna consciousness was not favorable for his existence. Krishna consciousness, favorably cultivated, makes one completely happy. So much so that a Krishna conscious person does not consider Kaivalya Sukham, or merging into the existence of Krishna, to be a great gain. Kaivalyam narakayate. For a Krishna conscious person, even merging into the existence of Krishna or Brahman, as impersonalists aspire to do, is uncomfortable. Kaivalyam narakayate tridashapura akasha pushpayate. Karma is hankered to be promoted to the heavenly planets, but a Krishna conscious person considers such phenomena will o' the wisp, good for nothing. Durdantendriya kala sarpa patali protkhatadam strayate. Yogis try to control their senses and thus become happy, but a Krishna conscious person neglects the method of yoga. He is unconcerned with the greatness of with the greatest of enemies, the senses, which are compared to the snakes. For a Krishna conscious person who is cultivating Krishna consciousness favorably, the happiness conceived by the karmis, jnanis and yogis is treated as less than a fig. These days fig is quite costly. But then Kamsa, however, because of cultivating Krishna consciousness in a different way, that is inimically, was uncomfortable in all the affairs of his life, whether sitting, sleeping, walking or eating. He was always in danger. This is the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. A non-devotee or atheist also cultivates God consciousness by trying to avoid God in everything. For example, so-called scientists want to create life by a combination of chemicals regarding the external material elements as supreme. Such scientists do not like the idea that life is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. As clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita, Mamai Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. The living entities do not arise from a combination of material elements such as earth, water, air, fire, but are separated portions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one can understand the position of the living entity as the separated portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by studying the nature of the living entity, one can understand the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, since the living entity is fragmental sample of the Godhead. But because the atheists are not interested in God consciousness, they try to be happy by cultivating Krishna consciousness in various unfavorable ways. Although Kamsa was always absorbed in the thoughts of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was not happy. A devotee, however, whether sitting on a throne or beneath a tree, is always happy. Srila Rupa Goswami resigned from office as a government minister to sit beneath a tree, yet he was happy. Tyaktva atur namasesha mandalapati shrenim sadatuchavat. He did not care for his comfortable position as a minister. He was happy even beneath a tree in Vrindavan, favorably serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. For a non-devotee, the world is full of problems, whereas for the devotee, the entire world is full of happiness. Vishwam purna sukhayate, vidhi mahendradischakitayate, yakharunya kataksha vaibhavavatam tam gaurame vastumaha. This comfortable position of a devotee can be estimated by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yasmin tushto yasmin stitona dukkena gurunapi vichalete. Even when a devotee is superficially put into great difficulty, he is never disturbed. So here we see that aspect of no favorable Krishna consciousness that is mentioned, and no as opposed to that, what all other things that are there. So other things that are there is going to the heavenly planets, that's the result of karma, and then controlling of the senses, that's the effect of yoga, and no and like jnanis, is it countered here? Mm. But anyways, so this is the effect of karma and jnana and yoga. So, but these things cannot give complete happiness, complete satisfaction to the heart. So they still have to fear the world. Yogis still have to fear the world of sense gratification as a possible enemy, and then it can actually anytime take them off the track. So, but then a devotee who's favorably engaged in Krishna consciousness, so for him, Vishwam Purna Sukhayate, and for him, he is not very much afraid of his senses, and he is not very much afraid of the, or he is not interested in the heavenly pleasures, and he is not afraid of the senses, which is compared to the Kala Sarpa. So he is very, very happy, deeply within. So that's the effect of Krishna consciousness that needs to be there. So, but then here we see Kamsa is also Krishna conscious, but he is not seeing this effect. He is seeing that life is full of problem, right? So this is the effect of inversely Krishna conscious, or negatively negatively Krishna conscious. So, favorably, a person is favorably Krishna conscious, he will be happy within the heart. So, that is something that is established here. And Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, accompanied by great sages like Narada, Devala, and Vyasa, and by other demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna, invisibly approached the room of Devaki, where they all joined in offering their respectful obeisances and prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can bestow blessings upon everyone. So, now here we see that, like, the like Brahmaji was there, and Indra also was there, and sometimes people ask this question that how come later they took part in the pastimes like Brahma Vimohan Leela and Govardhan Leela, so where they seem to not acknowledge Krishna's greatness, so they themselves come and glorify Krishna very nicely, and then later on they themselves come and do some other activities, right? So like, how is it possible? Right, and then even Indra's case, there is another question that is asked. So in Govardhan Leela, thoroughly he was powdered to the ground. So, but then after that, when Krishna went to the heavenly planets with Satyabhama, and then he took Parijata tree. So Indra again came to fight. How can you take the Parijata tree? It is the property of heaven. And then again he had to put back in his place. So that is why Indra himself condemns his position in the 6th canto of Bhagavatam. So we see that when Indra offends Brahaspati, so at that time Indra actually condemns his position, his opulence and his the greatness that he is having. So what's the use of all these things? It is keep on bewildering me, and then making me to get attached to the sense gratification, and then the sense gratification has such a power that it just makes us forget everything, right? So in one place, Srila Prabhupada writes in Bhagavatam that about the topmost of all the sense gratification, that is the sex. So he mentions that whether sex is illicit or licit, so when a man embraces women, he forgets everything about Krishna consciousness. So he mentions a point like that. So like in that way we see that the sense gratification is quite powerful. It can just make a person completely forgetful of everything about Krishna consciousness. So, and a classic example is all of us. So in the Bhagavatam class, we may hear so many nice things, we may speak also so many nice things, but then the moment we go off and then we see a sense object, everything that we have heard and spoken, it's all forgotten. So now it is like me and the sense object, So it's like that. So in that way we can see that, so that doesn't mean that we have to give up Krishna consciousness. It just means that, Krishna consciousness means moment to moment business. It is not one time I offer nice prayers and then later on it is accounted forever. So Krishna consciousness is a moment to moment business. So every moment I have to be Krishna conscious. So Indra here, he was Krishna conscious. In Govardhan Leela, he was forgetful. So then at the end of Govardhan Lila, again he became Krishna conscious. And again when Krishna went to this one and taken Parijata tree, so again he lost Krishna consciousness. And again he has to be put back in Krishna consciousness. So this is the position of a sadhaka. This is exactly how we are also. So sometimes we chant nicely and we are nicely Krishna conscious. And then when we see prasadam, though it is form of Krishna, but then so we lose Krishna consciousness there. And then so again we become Krishna conscious. Again we see something outside. We become Krishna Bahirmukh. So like that, we keep going on in this ones. So it only means that we have to become more intense in our practice of Krishna consciousness. So where we will be able to see the presence of the Lord, we will be able to think everything in relationship with the Lord. We will be able to see everything in relationship with the Lord. So that's the perfection of the sadhana. So that's what we are aiming at, and we should try to endeavor towards that very nicely. So then the demigod's prayers is there. So the demigods prayed, "O Lord, you never deviate from your vow, which is always perfect." Satyavrata. It's very nice shloka. Satyavratam satyaparam trisatyam satyasya yonim nihitam cha satye satyasya satyam vrita satya netram satyatmakam tvam sharanam prapanna. Very nice this one. So some shlokas in Bhagavatam has this nice rhyming things. So the demigods prayed, "O Lord, you never deviate from your vow, which is always perfect, because whatever you decide is perfectly correct and cannot be stopped by anyone. Being present in the three phases of cosmic manifestation, that is creation, maintenance, and annihilation, you are the supreme truth. Indeed, unless one is completely truthful, one cannot achieve your favor, which therefore cannot be achieved by hypocrites. You are the active principle, the real truth in all the ingredients of the creation, and therefore you are known as Antaryami, the inner force. You are equal to everyone, and your instructions apply for everyone, for all time. You are the beginning of all truth. Therefore, offering our obeisances, we surrender unto you. Kindly give us protection." Right? So this is a nice prayer of surrender, and we can see that. So one is that Satyam means the Lord never deviates from his vow. So like he is Satyavrata. So like he told that I will come, and he has come. It's very nice. Like when the Lord says something, it has its effect. It passes. And then whatever you decide is perfectly correct and cannot be stopped by anyone. So this is also a very important aspect of surrender that all of us must cultivate. Whatever the Lord decides is perfectly correct. And Edricha Labha Santushta, and many other aspects that is described in this connection. So we should not think that Bhagwan ne kyun aisa dhoka de diya. Bhagwan kabhi dhoka nahi dete. So that means like our understanding about Krishna is very shallow. So like I have a lot of this one, lot of aspiration to get something, or aspiration to get some new job, and then I go to the interview, we fail. So and then somebody says, "No, Bhagwan sahi karte hai sabko." So then the devotee gets doubt. Ye kaise sahi ho sakta hai? I am doing devotional service, I am doing everything nice, and then Bhagwan ne job nahi dilaya. So and sometimes like one of our devotees, they were trying hard for some material facility which is quite expected. So but then they were not getting it at all, and quite normal, everybody would expect that. So but then they were not getting it for a long period of time. So उनका friend बोले थे like इतना दिन कृष्ण को पूजा किया, like क्या फायदा मिला, थोड़ा भगवान को बदल के तो देखो. So दूसरा भगवान को पूजा करके देखो. So like that. So it is the whole point is that in the material world this becomes a problem, because we think that I know what is best for me. and Lord is not giving that. So then it becomes a problem. Bhagavan ne dhoka de diya. So but then if we understand the Lord knows what is best for me and He always does what is best for me. So I may not know what is best for me. So then this problem would not come. So this is a very essential aspect of surrender that a devotee is supposed to cultivate, for having solid like progress in Krishna consciousness. That we see that like anything that happens in our life, it is by the great mercy of the Lord. Which should be taken as the mercy of the Lord. So otherwise we will not have sufficient faith in our greatest friend. Suhrudam sarva bhutanam. So Krishna is our greatest friend, and what he's doing is perfectly good for us. So even though it appears to be very, very very painful or whatever it is the best thing that we can go through, right? So, and being present in the three phases of cosmic manifestation, so that even in the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, it is Krishna himself maintains. He tells that I was there before the creation, and during the creation also, whatever you see, it is only me that who is existing, and then after the annihilation, only I will remain, right? So he is the only one who is existing. He is the supreme truth or true substance that is existing, right? So there is like when some product is being marketed, so there is a true product that is there. So on top of it, different people may dress it up in different ways, and then they may market it in different ways. But then ultimate one commodity is there, which is the true substance. Like that, here also we see that the Supreme Lord is the true substance, and rest everything is his parts and parcels and manifestations and different forms of different creations. But all of them, the real truth or real life or real substance within all of them is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in that way also, like we can see that he is the Satyam, and then indeed, unless one is completely truthful, one cannot achieve your favor, which therefore cannot be achieved by hypocrites. So now we see that like we are in this material world, we have so much of conditioning of the material modes of nature, and because of which we cannot be fully truthful. So fully truthful means like if I say that this kartal belongs to me, it has a component of untruth in it. Now what is the untruth? No, this is not part and parcel of me, like it is part and parcel of Krishna. Actually, ideally, it belongs to Krishna, right? So, in any statement apart from Krishna conscious statement, so it has a component of untruth. Nothing can be completely true, except for Krishna consciousness, except for describing things in relation with Krishna. So, Srila Prabhupada was mentioning in one lecture, he was telling that education means. The real education is to understand what is what. We are part and parcel of Krishna, and we are meant to serve Krishna. So all other education, and especially the modern education, so it systematically tries to explain things. It is not just uneducated means like he doesn't know what is what. If you ask like what is this, he will say I don't know. And if he's wrongly educated means if he asks what is this, this is the like elements like material elements, and then where does it come from? It just comes from nowhere, and it is not created by Krishna, definitely, right? So that means it is more dangerous knowledge actually. So this is not the uneducated wala ignorance. This is like negatively educated. It is avidya. So it is very strong avidya actually. So we see that anyone who has to approach the Supreme Lord, they must also be truthful. If they are not truthful, or if they are not Krishna conscious, so then they will not be able to approach the Lord. So then what is the way that we can actually approach the Lord at all? So we are stuck up in the modes of nature. So the mercy of the Lord is he makes himself available in particular forms, in the form of the holy name, in the form of the deity, in the form of the devotees, in different forms, like he is making himself available. Whereas, we can take his association, we can become purified. So when we become purified, so he gives more and more access to himself. So in that way, like when we associate with Krishna, so we become purified. And then with purified senses, we are eligible to actually have the association of Krishna. So initial association is like we don't have, it is it is not the actual association of Krishna. So it is just we are covered by the modes of nature. So but when we come in contact with some transcendental subject, the covering is getting removed. So when the covering is completely removed, then we actually have the experience of the association of Krishna. So before that, we don't have the experience of association of Krishna. So like, this, even for becoming purified, even for becoming completely truthful, so we need the association of Krishna, right? And you are the active principle, the real truth, in all the ingredients of the creation, so that we discussed, and therefore you are known as Antaryami, the inner force. So you are equal to everyone, and your instructions apply, for everyone, for all time. So this in elaboration we have discussed many other times. So we will go forward. So and finally, like they are telling that, and thus we are offering our obeisances, we surrender unto you. Please give us protection. So this is the aspect of surrender. The surrender can only be towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it cannot be to anyone and everyone. Why this is so? Because the Lord, I am part and parcel of the Lord, and He is the rightful proprietor and owner of me, and only He has the right to receive my surrender. No one else has the right to receive my surrender, and to no one else, I should surrender also. So we worship only Krishna, we surrender to only Krishna. So this should be very, very clear. And then any other personalities that we surrender is because they are they are acting as a transparent via medium for Krishna to act, and that is why I am surrendering. So whenever they stop acting as transparent via medium, for Krishna to manifest, so then I also stop my surrender, right? So it's very, very simple. Like till the time electric socket has, it gives power. We we connect our mobile charger to it, है ना? तो जब वो power देना छोड़ दिया, तो उसके बाद नहीं इतना दिन पावर दिया, अभी भी उसमें घुसा कर रखना है. ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. So like we should not become wrongly attached to anything else. We are attached to anything only because of the presence of Krishna. So this ultimate philosophy we should properly understand. So we are part and parcel of Krishna and no one else, and we are meant to surrender and serve Krishna only and no one else, right? So then it becomes very clear. So that is why this one of the qualifications of the spiritual master also is mentioned as Brahmanishtam. He is solidly situated on the principle of serving Krishna, right? And it is also mentioned the job of the spiritual master is to enlighten the disciple about Krishna and to engage the disciple in the service of Krishna, right? It is not that to keep engaging the disciple in one's own service only. He has to engage the disciple in the service of Krishna. So because the disciple is also part and parcel of Krishna. And Vidwan Prabhu was nicely mentioning this particular aspect. If there is a senior wife is there, and in the Vedic times they had multiple wives, and their senior wife is there, and the newly wedded wife, she will take training under the senior wife. So, but then they cannot have homosex. So, like the senior wife should train the junior wife, to engage in the service of the husband. So that's the way that the spiritual master trains the disciple to engage in the service of Krishna. So that's the Hare Krishna. So that's the way this one is happens. So whenever because of the Ishvara Bhav that is there, so like when we are also assuming the roles of leadership and things like that, so when somebody offers obeisances, so because we are presenting Krishna consciousness, so but then instead of passing on the obeisances to the Supreme Lord, so we start accepting aham Ishvara, so, and things like that. So then it becomes a problem. So but then when we make advancement in Krishna consciousness, we understand though we have to be Krishna conscious, and we have to give Krishna consciousness to others, and we have to be engaged in Krishna service, and we have to engage others also in Krishna service. So that's the way that we have to do. So here the demigods are very nicely explaining why they are surrendering to Krishna. So they are not just whimsically surrendering to any personality. Okay, so okay. So let's have some discussion, or one or two shlokas more we'll take. क्या करें? अभी टाइम सही कर दिया इसमें. So we have some like 20 minutes is there. So it's nice time for discussion actually. So we can have some question answers and some reflections from whatever we have studied. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So we see the three life of Devitas. So Satyuga, Hiranyaksha, and Hiranyakashipu. And in Dwapara Yuga, in that Treta Yuga, Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and this Dwapara Yuga, Dantavaka and Shishupata. In the this Satyuga and the Treta Yuga, they were nicely explained that okay, they are the topmost enemy of Lord. But in Dwapar Yuga, why comes means it was highlighted. It was not that.
हर बार पता नहीं. I don't know like why they were not given the topmost demon position. So कभी-कभी chance दिया जाता है दूसरों को भी. So in some class I was hearing that Hanuman was the hero in Ramayan's battle. So but then in Mahabharata he was given a side role, but he was okay. So कभी दूसरों को भी chance दिया जाता है. ठीक है. Yes, Pooja.
Thank you for the class. Prabhuji, when this particular prayers come by demigods, so in Bhagavatam many places such prayers come where they define you are the origin of everything, you take part in all the three roles. So at times they're reading those things, it becomes monotonous. So what should be the proper attitude in reading this? Should we contemplate? Or
Monotonous because we don't love Krishna. And glorification of Krishna becomes little difficult to take. And pastimes, because at least there is some external things that is there, we can get attracted to. But in prayers, so it is, what is that? It's description of Krishna. It is very nice, amazing description of Krishna. And it has a lot of deep sense of meaning that is there. So when we become attracted to Krishna more and more, so we will also start relishing prayers, right? So that Nivritta Tarshair Upagiyamana. So in that shloka it is mentioned that one who is like completely given up material attachments. For him it is very, very relishable, the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And for what is that? What's the next line? Bhava Shrota Manobirama. So like the people who are not like Krishna, not very much attached to Krishna, not completely liberated. So for them, if they are in the category of sadhakas, for them it is bhava aushadhi. So it is it is a medicine for them, to become cured of the material disease. And for people who are not at all, even the level of sadhakas, for them it is manoranjan. So it is like the pastimes of Krishna may become like some kind of a nice serial. ये भी अच्छा serial है. ये भी अच्छा कुछ तो कथा आ रहा है. Things like that. And that also purifies. That's not bad. So but then as we advance in Krishna consciousness, so then we will also take equally pleasure in the subject matter of the jnana part of this one. So that is very nice actually. Like it is describing, in fact, like when other shlokas we could able to go very fast. In this shloka we discussed for a great deal of time. And then if we have practical experience of these things also, so then we will be able to relish more nicely. Just like one aspect that we were discussing, that whatever the Lord decides is perfectly correct for us. So it is it's a very, very practical aspect. If whatever difficulties that we go through, so if we can apply this principle that whatever the Lord decides, it's very perfect. Krishna must be having some plan. So he's putting me through this, and ultimately I want to become nicely Krishna conscious. I want to become nicely attached to the Lord. So and whatever it takes, I just simply want to submit to the plan of the Lord, and I want to become Krishna conscious. That's all. I'm not going to make any plans to just get out of this situation in some way or other, right? So in that way, like this helps a lot in the practice of Krishna consciousness, and this is the perfect vision. All of us are trying to get that perfect vision, by chanting and by studying of scriptures and by engaging in devotional service. So we are trying to get this perfect vision, and these demigods, by their dint of awakening of knowledge, they have much better perfect vision than us. And when they are talking about Krishna, so this is how Krishna is seen. And what we see Krishna as, that's not the way the great personalities they see. So through the eyes of great personalities, we should also get trained how to actually see Krishna, right? So this is a nice step. Like when we train ourselves to see Krishna in this way, as these demigods are seeing, so then we get a good foundation, and from there we can see how the residents of Vrindavan they are seeing. So that's a different level of seeing. So the seeing of residents of Vrindavan, sometimes it may feel like, oh, ye to acha hai, like aisa dekhna acha lag raha hai. So but then seeing of these demigods is like very difficult. So but then what we are actually seeing, when the residents of Vrindavan, when they are describing, that is on top of this. When we see separation from this, it will be like some other manoranjan, things that we are seeing in this material world. We are not able to still connect to that spiritual subject matter. So like whenever we get this one, we are so much attracted by the descriptions of Krishna and Vrindavan. So then we have to come back and see, like, are we getting attracted to the vision of the demigods? If we are not getting attracted, that means bogus hai. Our attraction to Vrindavan and residents of Vrindavan, or description of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, so that's just bogus, because we are not getting attracted to the foundational principle. That means my attraction for any higher principle is just simply bogus. So like that. So in this way we can try to see that, and try to endeavor to advance in Krishna consciousness. There is no substitute for this. So like if we chant nicely, and if we progress nicely in the Krishna consciousness, so then we will be able to have an experience of the Lord. So in one place, Srila Prabhupada actually says, when the Lord appears, he gratifies all the senses. Eyes will become satisfied, your tongue will become satisfied, your skin will become satisfied, your ears will become satisfied, everything will become satisfied. So the same thing, devotees also can experience, that if you chant very nicely, and if you hear nicely, you are chanting, so then you will see this effect. There is no job of eyes in the whole process of chanting, but still your eyes will become satisfied, your skin will become satisfied, your tongue will become satisfied. So you will feel a great deal of satisfaction in all these elements. And with that consciousness, when you study the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam, so then it will make a lot of sense. It will make a lot of, you'll actually relish the subject matter. So there is no substitute for cultivation of the knowledge. Cultivation of knowledge means understanding Krishna, or perceiving Krishna in the form of Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. So, or at least perceiving Krishna in the form of audible hearing of the Harikshetra mantra. So this also we can actually call it as arising of knowledge. So when the knowledge arises, so then these things we will be able to relate with these things very nicely, like that. Hare Krishna. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a question that when we see that a devotee also has to go to sleep and then engage in certain activities. So let's say, taking the example of sleep. So it requires ignorance to actually go into sleep. So does this mean that, so how can we actually understand transcendence? Because a devotee also has to sleep and then...
So material activities performed under rules and regulations, that transforms into spiritual activity. Right? So we are engaged in smelling flowers. Flower is a material element, material entity. But when it is used in the service of the Lord, it becomes transcendental. And then the smelling of that same material object becomes transcendental. It inspires Krishna consciousness. And Krishna mentions yuktahara viharasya yuktas, swapnava bodhas. What is it, shloka? Yukta chetasa karmasu yukta swapnava bodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. Right? So this, we see that when we engage in the material activities as prescribed, according to our level, as prescribed, if we engage in them, so even though sleep is supposed to be in mode of ignorance, so but because the body, you have a body and you have to give rest to it, otherwise the engine will not run. And how much it is supposed to be given, so you are giving according to the instructions of the scriptures. So then after you get up in Mangalarti, you will be Krishna conscious. That's the effect. So like that's the way it is. No, we have to engage the senses. We cannot stop completely the engagement of the senses with the sense objects. But then if we do it according to the Krishna conscious principles, according to the instructions of the scriptures, that engagement will actually inspire Krishna consciousness. Right? So that's how Krishna actually mentions. Even what is that? Dharma aviruddha kamosmi, right? So like a person, if he begets children for the purpose of Krishna consciousness, for propagation of Krishna consciousness, and following nice samskaras, and then bringing about nice progeny in the world, he will become Krishna conscious. No, there is no doubt about it. So like that. So every activity, when it is done, according to the instructions of the scriptures, that inspires Krishna consciousness.
So just a quick question. So that is like whatever activity is going to come, or whatever result is going to come. Let's say, for example, if somebody is using his semen to produce nice children, to beget nice children, and then they become Krishna conscious, the person also becomes Krishna conscious.
No, it is predictable. It is not a gamble. It is predictable if the samskara is proper. It is quite predictable. We can actually invite a very nice soul. So for generations and generations, the kings would beget children and they would become powerful kings. No, ऐसा कोई नहीं कि like no गलती से कुछ और निकल गया. No, it is possible. It is quite possible.
So the result, talking about the result, that the result is going to be Krishna conscious. But what about the very activity which we are doing?
If the intent of the activity and the procedure of the activity is all nicely done, so then it becomes Krishna conscious.
If it's connected to Krishna.
Yeah. So he has done. So his this one is that like there are some cases where the devotees have the desire for sense gratification. Okay, they'll follow. But then even higher level of that is like I want to bring in a revolution of Krishna consciousness in this world, and for that reason, I want to beget children. So then that is even more higher grade of grahasthas, and and they follow all the things very nicely, and then they never compromise on their sadhana, and they are nicely doing their sadhana very nicely. So then it brings about very, very powerful result actually. So how nicely the consciousness is prepared and how nicely the procedures are followed, the samskaras are followed, so that much the result is almost predictable. So because of the effect of Kali Yuga, something may go wrong. But if 2-3 generations, if they follow this thing, then after that result will be 100% predictable. Because it is a system. It's a very nice science of begetting children. So it must come into action. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Continue this question. So when we pray to the Lord, do all the samskaras, so we get uttered with the great soul
Into the womb of a Krishna conscious mother. And also if you see on the philosophy of karma, so it is already fixed. We hear that. So the children you will be getting home, or spouse, whoever it will be, it's already fixed. Then
Already fixed by karma.
ah,
And Krishna consciousness, can it destroy karma?
can be changed.
Yeah, changed. Intense Krishna consciousness can change our horoscope. So one devotee was telling, those who chant and clap, all their lines will change. Yeah.
One more question, like discussing the case of Bali Maharaj. So we say that is a demon is going against the demigods, who are the devotees of the Lord. And when one particular point came that he surrendered himself to the Lord, and even the demigods are praising him, such a great surrender. But in a practical way, see the same scenario in devotee circle. We say that amongst the 26 qualities, Krishna Kshanam is the most important. Others will come with time if we have this. And also we see devotees are nicely practicing their bhakti, sadhana, whatever. And also sometimes some bad things happen between the devotees association. Some conflicts or some misbehavior, something happens. Then we also say that, so whatever sadhana you are doing, it's not good. First you have to develop the qualities of a Vaishnava. Then what is this, all this?
That is out of anger they may speak.
So how to understand this?
Yeah. So yeah, that is expectation of very high stage of bhakti. That is, people will have all the good qualities. So the devotees must be appreciated for their acceptance of the principle of Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead, and acceptance of principle of applying themselves to the regular sadhana practice and things like that. So that's something very, very appreciable. And if they are doing this very nicely and sincerely, so the Yashasti Bhakti, then that thing will happen. So all the good qualities will manifest over a period of time. But then when two like Adha Pakka devotees come together and they have misunderstanding, that's quite natural and quite quite common thing to be seen in the association of devotees. And then they have misunderstandings and they have some conflicts and things like that. So that's quite quite expected. So the problem occurs only when we think that I've come in association of devotees and everybody must act like devotee. No, that is a very, very high expectation and very wrong expectation. So expectation is that everybody are struggling and everybody are sincerely trying to improve themselves. And here we are the expectation is that everybody will commit mistake. And the thing is the sincerity that they all want to purify themselves. That is what is to be appreciated. And definitely when we are when there is some conflict that happens, so at the time we cannot appreciate all these points. At the time we will speak whatever it comes. So and at least later on we understand, and then we appreciate that devotee and then beg forgiveness for our high expectation. And in that way we can actually sort out the issue. Thinking that I am all right, that is also problem. Thinking that everybody else should be all right, that is also problem. So the reality of the subject is nobody is all right and everybody is trying to become all right. So in that way, we should appreciate. Otherwise all of us are trying to become all right and then we are going in the path and the path is quite long, and in between only no, you are not all right, you are not all right, maar peet ke sab gir gaye. So then nobody will go forward. So that is why one of the aspects that is very much needed in the process of Krishna consciousness is association. And the association is quite very intolerable. So then we also need the extra package, that is the tolerance. So tolerance, accommodativeness, and then patience and all these things. So when we have this, then only we will be able to cross this journey. Otherwise, alone we cannot cross. Association में सारा problem है. छोड़ दो association का. Alone we cannot cross. It's very difficult. Nobody will be there to remind us of Krishna. So, but then if people are reminding us of Krishna, they have some negativities also. That also has to be tolerated. So, with this package only we can go. And also whatever these people, their poking is there. From other devotees. So that also is helpful in our advancement in Krishna consciousness. So we can see that when we are disturbed by some association, so then we can actually pray to Krishna, see no, I'm not at all a devotee. I was thinking I'm a devotee. So one small thing, that too done by a devotee. So I'm getting so much disturbed. So I'm not able to focus on your names. Just for contemplating on solving this particular issue, I've just gave up your thought about you. So what kind of a devotee I am? I'm actually devoted to the three modes of nature. And every opportunity, I sincerely and very nicely think about three modes of nature. And every opportunity I get, I stop to think about you. This is my condition. Please give me your mercy so that I'll constantly be able to think of you. I'll constantly be able to chant and hear your names nicely, right? So in that way we can actually take it as a aspect of humbling ourselves and try to intensify our prayers, like that. Yes.
Durga, Bhadrakali, Chandi, Chamunda, and that Vasudev Maharaj has taken that baby girls from Nand Maharaj house and Yashoda house, and then he came out to Mathura and he given that baby girl to Kansa. And when Kansa tried to kill her, so then she becomes the Yogmaya. Does that mean that Yogamaya mother is Yashoda or Durga mother is Yashoda?
Durga? No, sometime back we read, no? So Mother Yashoda is called as, I think yesterday we read, right? So like, she is the mother of all the devas. She is the mother of Supreme Lord. That means like, no, Supreme Lord is the source of everything else. So, so that means like she is, what is Vishwa Mata? Like, so she is, or Deva Mata. No, she is like mother of all. So then, what is the, this one surprise of she being mother of, this Yogamaya? And that. Both of them. That's why it is mentioned very clearly that is. Yeah, that section we didn't read in detail. So that's the Balram's appearance. So there it is mentioned that Krishna or the Lord's form and then the Krishna and Yogamaya. So both of them were born as brother and sister. So like that. So that's why she is called as Vaishnavi. So like, yeah. Yes. Anybody would like to share some points? We just have 2-3 minutes more. Yes.
Harikshetra. So, yes, you were mentioning that like the surrender has to be only to Krishna and other devotees or like other people, like we have to see till the time they are helping us to surrender to Krishna or engage in service of Krishna. So that is the point of like, means, that is how we should see them and connect to them or serve them or surrender to them. So that was very nice. Like with Angaram Pro you were quoting. So surrender only is to Krishna only.
Yeah. Yes.
This point that Krishna consciousness is a moment-to-moment business. At one moment I am able to nicely pray to the Lord that I want to become Krishna conscious. I want to become purified and engage in pure devotion service. And the other moment I am creating a blunder and displeasing Krishna and the devotees everywhere. So it's that will be like basically every moment we have to try to be Krishna conscious. So Krishna conscious is moment to moment. It's not like one moment I have offered prayer and then it will be applicable for. And another point that the most important preaching activity is to have a very nice chanting sadhana for myself. Because if one is afflicted by 3 modes, then he will also distribute 3 modes to others. And if one is actually having Krishna, then he will give Krishna to others. So first preaching activity is to have good sadhana for myself.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So here one point is there that we must Krishna conscious in the favorable position, not in like Kamsa is in unfavorable position. He is also Krishna conscious, but he is fearing Krishna, so he is unhappy that time. But after we see that Rupa Goswami is like he is in favor of like Krishna consciousness. He has left everything, like he is in forest, but he is so happy in that position also. Because he is serving Lord personally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we should be in favorable position to serve Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, wonderful point you highlighted that a preacher is respected not because of the living entity, but the respect goes to Krishna. Because we are carrying Krishna consciousness, thus we get the respect, and we should remember that it is by and for Krishna.
ठीक है ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्ण.
Thank you very much for nicely explaining the in detail Krishna conscious through philosophical way. So most of the time I am interested in sentimental way. So after that we have philosophical aspects included in our understanding so we will progress more and more spiritual life. So thank you for every class. We go deep into philosophy, giving a nice understanding. So let's thank Prabhuji from our bottom of our hearts by one time chanting Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. So today's Sunday. Sunday means? Tuesday. Our peace outreach.
So evening we'll all go for outreach. Thursday is a day of Janmashtami. So we have planned a different thing for our